Right now, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you are moving at an absolutely incredible speed. You don't feel it, you can't see it, but you are literally strapped to the surface of a giant rock that's spinning through space. And the velocity? Well, if you could actually feel it, it would be pretty terrifying.
Yeah, 1,000 miles per hour. That's about 1,600 kilometers per hour if you're at the equator. This is the constant, silent speed that dictates our days, our nights, our weather, pretty much everything. It's always there, in the background.
So let's ask a truly horrifying question. What if that massive, spinning rock just stopped? Not forever, not even for a minute, just for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'd think, it's just 5 seconds, right? What's the big deal? Well, it turns out those 5 seconds would be the most catastrophic in the history of our world.
Okay, so the very first, and I mean instantaneous problem, is all about simple physics. It boils down to a concept you already know, something you feel every time you're in a car that stops suddenly. It's called inertia.
It's basically Newton's first law, right? An object in motion wants to stay in motion. The Earth is moving, which means you're moving with it. The oceans are moving, the air is moving, everything is moving. If the solid ground beneath your feet were to slam on the brakes, all that forward momentum, it doesn't just, disappear.
Let's just picture this for a second. Right now, you and the Earth are a team, moving east together in perfect harmony. But the moment the Earth stops, you don't. Your personal momentum just keeps going. You'd be launched eastward violently. And that one single unstoppable force is where this whole apocalypse kicks off.
And I'm not talking about a gentle nudge. At the equator, you'd be flung at 1,000 miles per hour. That's not an exaggeration. That is literally faster than a speeding bullet. Every person, every building, every tree, anything not fused to the planet's deep bedrock would instantly become a high-velocity projectile.
So you've just been launched through the air. But what are you flying through? It's definitely not calm. Because it wasn't just you that kept going. The entire atmosphere, our planet's massive ocean of air, it has inertia too. And that, my friends, creates an even bigger problem.
Just to give you some perspective, the most powerful hurricane ever recorded had winds topping out around 200 miles per hour. Terrifying, right? The wind we're talking about now would be 5 times stronger. A supersonic blast of air ripping across the entire globe.
A super wind like this doesn't just knock things over. Oh no, it would be more like a planetary-scale sandblaster. It would pulverize concrete buildings into dust. It would snap entire forests like they were toothpicks. It would literally atomize everything on the surface, scouring the planet clean right down to the bedrock. Okay, the air is bad enough. But what about the water? The Earth's oceans hold an almost unimaginable amount of mass, and all of it has momentum. So when the planet stops spinning, all of that energy has to go somewhere.
The easiest way to get your head around this is the old bucket analogy. If you swing a bucket of water around your head, the water stays inside. But if you stop suddenly, that water sloshes out everywhere. Now just scale that up to a global level, with oceans that are miles deep.
What you get is a global tsunami. And I don't mean just a big wave. I mean a wall of water, kilometers high, moving at supersonic speed right alongside that world-scouring wind. This wave wouldn't just hit the coasts, it would wash over entire continents. The Atlantic would swallow Europe whole. The Pacific would completely erase the Americans.
But then, something even weirder happens. See, the Earth isn't a perfect ball. The spin makes it bulge out a bit at the equator. Without that spin, gravity would immediately start to pull everything back into a perfect sphere. And that huge bulge of ocean water piled up at the equator, it would suddenly have nowhere to go but downhill, sloshing toward the poles to even things out.
So, after all that, is there any place on Earth that's safe? Is there any escape from this instant apocalypse? Well, as it turns out, your survival depends completely on where you happen to be standing. It is a very grim geographic lottery.
If you're at the equator, you're moving at a full 1,000 miles per hour. Your survival chance is, well, 0. If you're in a city like London, you're still moving at a totally unsurvivable 600 miles per hour. Basically, the only place you could possibly survive this initial catastrophe is at the poles, where your rotational speed is practically 0. Yeah, if you were standing at the true geographic North or South Pole, you're really just spinning in place. The stop would probably just feel like a weird little jerk. You'd be one of the very few humans left alive, standing there witnessing the sudden, horrifying silence of a world that has just stopped moving. But that safety is only temporary.
Because remember what we said at the beginning? The stop only lasts for 5 seconds. And if you think the stop was bad, the restart might actually be worse.
So let's just run through that timeline again. In just 5 seconds, the entire world's population is launched, scoured by a supersonic wind, and then drowned by a global tsunami. And then, at that 5-second mark, the cosmic emergency brake is released. The Earth starts spinning again.
Now try to wrap your mind around this. You have everything. An atmosphere full of dust, rock, water, all the pulverized remnants of our entire civilization. All of it still flying east at incredible speeds. And now, the ground underneath it all suddenly lurches back into motion at that very same speed. The impact, the friction, would be just monumental.
This final, catastrophic whiplash is what finishes the job. The friction from that impact would generate unimaginable heat. The shock would trigger global earthquakes so powerful they'd shatter tectonic plates. Every single volcano on Earth would likely erupt at once, choking the atmosphere with so much dust that it blocks out the sun, plunging what's left of our ruined planet into a new ice age.
It really leaves you with a pretty profound idea, doesn't it? We tend to think of stability as stillness, as a lack of motion. But for our planet, for us, stability is the complete opposite. It's a constant, predictable, and absolutely unending movement. It's a wild thought, but the only reason you and I are safe right now is because the Earth never, ever stops spinning. So maybe the next time you feel like the world is spinning out of control, you should just take a second and be glad that it is.